We're back in the model and intent we created Oracle issues. We run the batch test based off of the utterances we gathered from our incident data that support Oracle access, and now we have some results to improve and fine-tune within the model. Out of the 20 utterances we ran, 5 of them were some result other than correct, either correct among multiple, incorrect, or missed. The priority first would be to fix the ones that were incorrect and missed. First, I want to show you how testing and training within the model itself looks like. So here in test, you can put in an utterance and it will act very much like the agent chat window on the service portal as long as the model is published. So let's enter in one of the utterances that was incorrect from our batch testing. Please reset my Oracle password. Now you can see it tells you the intent that comes up, if any. It also gives you the confidence percentage it has with that intent and what the current confidence threshold is. So what the confidence percentage is a value that generates by the NLU model based on the utterances inside the model, what it believes the intent is behind the utterance. And the threshold is a property you can set. You can either raise it if you want it to be more strict, or lower it if you want it to be less strict. You don't want to mess with this too much. The more strict you make it, the more difficult you make it for it to return a positive match, a correct result. And the less strict you make it, the more easy you make it for multiple matches and intents to happen across the NLU. So you generally want to leave it at a sweet spot, but you are able to adjust that if you'd like. Once you make any changes to utterances within the model or an intent, you need to train the model. To train the model, you go up here, and then you hit train. This could take only a couple minutes or longer, depending on how many changes you make. But the model needs to be trained in order to reflect the changes you've made so that we can test the test utterance against the updated model. Now that the model has been trained, we can copy and enter the same utterance from earlier and see what's changed. As you can see, the previous result was 82% for the get password reset link, but that is the published model. While we have trained it, we haven't republished it. The current trained model has an 88% for the Oracle issues intent, which is the intent we want. So these 3 utterances changed it from the incorrect intent to the intent we desire. So if we publish this, this would fix that utterance. What you do need to keep in mind is how making changes to one intent may affect results for other intents within the same model. Let's do one more example, this time one of the utterance that was missed, meaning it brought up no match. Once again, you can see 2 different results. The published results, which was the current published NLU model, and the trained model results, meaning what we trained on these previous 3 utterances that we just added to this intent, but we haven't republished the model yet. It's interesting to note that while these utterances were targeted at increasing the accuracy and prediction for a different utterance entirely, strengthening the understanding and amount of utterances in this intent, because it has so few already, has made it so that this intent is now correct as well. It was just under the confidence threshold before at 78%, and now it is well above it at 83%. So if we publish this model, just by adding these 3 utterances, we have changed another 2 of our results from incorrect and missed to both correct. A couple more things worth mentioning for this section. The first is that the NLU model has an interesting override mechanic in that if you ever have an utterance within any intent and the user inputs character for character the exact utterance, they will always be brought to the intent that that utterance is contained in. So if they type, "I need help using Oracle," exactly as written, it will always bring them to this intent regardless of how the percentages are working or how the different terms might have a stronger correlation in another intent. So if you ever find yourself with a very tricky utterance and some awkward terms that you're not using that often and you don't want to bloat by adding a bunch of utterances, but it's something that's used a lot by your users, that is something you can make use of, but don't use it as a crutch. And lastly, I do want to mention that it might not be intuitive, but you don't want to just keep adding hundreds of utterances to try and include everything, because this is a machine learning solution. The more utterances you add do strengthen the terms and the understanding for the model, but it also can desaturate and kind of water down all the information you've given it before, both within an intent itself, but also with too many intents within a model. What I mean by that is if we add like 50 utterances about password reset, it would be very strong about password reset, but then the previous information, maybe access or something else to do another specific item, would become less strong and less accurate because we've given it so much information about one item that it just can't hold everything at equal weight. So that's just something to keep in mind, is that you want to find a balance between using too many and not having enough utterances. One utterance is generally not enough for a topic. That's why we added 3. But you don't want to exceed, hundreds within an intent either. If a topic or an intent becomes too large, we recommend just breaking out into more topics and more intents. And that's how to train and test the NLU model.